Hi Phil, it's Jack here. How you doing? Thank you for sending that to me. It's looking really good. I was pleased that I accidentally stumbled in on the screening. It's a bit strange, but I got to see it, which was great, and so I can now start to comment on it properly. I'd first of all like to say thanks for all your hard work over the session. I really do appreciate it, and I think that you have shown great improvement over these years that we started, since we started back in that class with Matan, or whatever his name was. Yeah, really most amazing development. So let's have a look at it. I think that the main thing which grabbed me was that how much you've done in the last week, which again, I think I said it to many of you before. If you were to have done this much work in the last week through the whole session, wow, you could have done a feature film. So just keep that in mind. Know that you're capable of doing that in future, so that you're able to get stuff done earlier, because getting stuff done earlier means more feedback, better product, happier people like me, who are generally in future going to be people who are paying you, so you want to keep them happy. So good thing first off the bat is that there's absolutely no surprises. Everything that you've been doing from week to week to week, there's no major editing changes, no major changes in anything, which is great. And the backgrounds look superb, so well done on that. But again, that could have been done earlier, but they're done. Just to note here, the perspective on these guys is a bit funny. We'll go over that in a second, but that's something that we could comment on, just the way it's drawn, just to make it look a bit more believable. I'm not sure whether they're supposed to be just piled there or stacked, but maybe I'll go back and have another look at that. Sorry, I'm yawning because I haven't had much sleep recently. Yes, the same sort of issues as I said before. I mean, I've said it before. It's up to you whether you choose to do anything about it, but things like the movement like that, it would be nice to see a bit more of the body move, not having it so rigid in those sorts of movements. This stuff worked out really well, and I'm glad that you've taken on board some of the things that I said about screen direction. I'm not 100% sure what went on. This worked really well. I like that. I think having this extra stuff inside there was a great thing, and I wonder if you could perhaps have maybe a bit more of these sorts of people around earlier on in the shop. Things like here where you've got lots of space, you could have those sorts of guys, just to, because it really does make it look quite juicy, having got that extra number of people inside there, if that's something you feel that you're able to do, like here as well. Just for continuity, it looks good, and you're obviously capable of doing it, especially we've got rock and metal, and then all of a sudden rock over here, metal, but lots of guys, but no one around. So a little bit of a continuity. I'm sure you're aware of that, and it looks good. So here with this stuff here, I'm not sure. It looked actually like he was about to hit her, and I know when you pause it, you can see that he's kind of umming and ahhing, but it actually looks like he took the first swipe, so I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that one. I knew that was happening. It did actually look like he was getting ready to thump her like that, so it could be read, instead of him grabbing the back of his neck, as him ready to go off and hit her. So maybe you could do it such that his elbow is a little bit down, and then he pulls his arms in, or something to change that gesture, because that just reads like he's about to belt her and she got in first. She hit him before he hit her. So, yeah. It's all in the pose. But otherwise, it works great. I'll just turn the volume down because I've heard the music 1,000 times. This works really well. With this one here, I can see what you're doing. I just wonder if, instead of having him appear there, what I was suggesting, now let me draw this in Photoshop. Instead of having him start off, have them fade out. Don't have him there at all. So I'm sorry, I'm putting my hand over the screen. You can't see me do that. But have this area, say, still black. Have that all black for the time that he's coming in. And then have this transition. See how you've done that? You already done it. And it would be so much nicer if he just didn't appear at all. So say from, well, I've drawn over the whole thing. So if he were not there for those few frames, you know, I've practically done it anyway. So you'd have this on layer, so you wouldn't need to. Whoop. Okay, so looking at this way, she would disappear, and then he'd turn around, and now comes the guy. So if you did it like that, then it just works. Now, here as well, what we want to do, remember we've always got, how can I put him? This is guy number 1, this is guy number 2. That's the sides of their screen. So you want to maintain that. So if he's over here, you want to make sure that number 2 stays on his side, number 1 stays on his side. So that's his area. So you got that happening. Now he's there. He needs to be over there. Okay? He needs to move over into number 1's area. And then when he comes back, it works. So the screen direction is maintained. So that's a little edit I think you need to do. Here as well. There's a few confusing things still. Now, he's over in his area there, so that's good. This section here works fine. That all works fine. He's in the right area. Here, you need to swap it around. Just completely flip that frame. I know I'm talking about this all the time, but it would still work. You could have him coming in from this side, this guy here coming from that side, this guy looking in, and the punch would still work just as fine, just as good. And then if you wanted to swap the screen direction now, that's fine because he's knocked him to the ground. So that's a good point where you can start to break things, because then he starts to point out to the side. That's good. That was really worked well. I think Neil commented on that. That's really quite well done. I agree with Neil. So if we're getting a strong direction there, he could perhaps even also, as he comes, start to move as if he's been thrown in that direction. That might also work. Yes, again, there's a possibility with screen direction, you might want to explore this one, because it's starting to get, there is a logical screen direction. Having this guy still over here, everything he does is going to be interacting from that way to that way. And that would work because later on, when he comes out, he is coming out this way as well. So the only thing you'd need to do, and he's kind of doing it there, he's throwing him, and if he threw him, already having that feeling as though he was going from right to left, when you get this next shot, that flows better. So you could have him coming across a bit like that. It just means that when you do this, have this one reversed so he's actually pointing that way, so that the exit's over here and the woman's coming back, so you have your point that way instead. Don't know, just whatever. So if you had it going that way, it would probably flow better then he would flow and everything goes across there. So that keeps that entire interaction as one consistent logical movement. He's always on his side. That needs to be swapped. That works. That could be swapped. So swap that one around. And then have him pointing in the opposite direction. And then everything connects beautifully up. And you have a very, very clear sequence. And it's difficult to get that right. But then she's still going that way. He's looking that way. You might actually want to, if possible, have him more on that side of the screen, only in so much that he is having that negative space to that side. You do have that anyway in this case, so that would probably make sense. You're doing it here as well. You're doing it here as well. So there's no reason why you shouldn't do it. Here there's no real reason. But here it's not so much of a point. But maybe as you move your camera, reframe it so that the camera side's over there. So I've got more of that side of it. Okay, so that would be trimmed. And possibly have his gaze looking more towards her, just to make it all gel together. So yeah. Other than my little nitpicking, it's a really, really good film. I think that you've done a great job of that. You've managed to keep on top of everything. I appreciate your listening to me and putting up with me as a teacher all these years, but you've been a pleasure to teach as well. And so it's come together well. So great. I hope the band likes it. You should like it. You should be proud of yourself. And I'll hope that we will cross our paths one time in the future. I look forward to the screening, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.